Hi, I'm Suzanne Macy. I'm one of the professors in the Environmental Science Senior Seminar course. And this is a quick presentation that covers the basics of methods of library research and making your bibliography for your thesis proposal or thesis. So just to start off, why search the literature? I've asked this question in the past in different classes, and using Poll Everywhere, put it out there, and here are some of the responses that other students in the past have said. There's a diversity of responses, including gaining insights, understanding the context, where to find data, to help you establish a research question. A couple of the main themes that I pulled from this were that we search the literature because new research is built on existing findings, helps you get a better understanding of the topic you're researching and what's been done before, and it can back up your rationale for your question and the interpretation of your results. So how do you get started? Well, specifically for this course, if you already have your scientific mentor, we suggest that you ask this person for 2 or 3 recent papers that could help frame your topic. It's okay if you don't have your mentor yet. You might want to start your own library search, and we'll talk more specifically that in the upcoming slides. Or you can ask your advisor or anyone that you discuss your topic with for some suggestions. And then a good first step is to read the references that those papers cite as sort of your introduction into other literature that might be helpful for your understanding your topic. So when you're trying to figure out what these first 2 or 3 papers are, some tips, you might look for 1 or 2 papers that give you a broad context of your topic, or a couple of papers that give you very detailed information about the methods or the analyses that you might know that you want to use. And remember that you're supposed to read an example senior thesis proposal with your advisor. So if that proposal is actually something very in line with what you're doing, it might also be a resource to find references to look through. So once you've read those first couple of papers, you're going to dive a little deeper into the literature. You can do this in many different ways. The Columbia Library has a great amount of resources for you, and the hyperlink is on this PDF of this slide presentation, or you can find it on the How to Make the Bibliography page within our course website. There's of course Clio, other citation indexes like Web of Science and Google Scholar. And if you're on campus, you could always visit the library, and that could be talking to a reference librarian about your subject, also just browsing the bookshelf in an area of the topics that interests you might actually yield some interesting results. So I posed a question to former students using Poll Everywhere to see where they get their references from, and not too surprisingly, Google was one of the highest, specifically Google Scholar. And that's well and good, and I actually use it myself, but I do recommend that you try out more than just one platform. For example, no one in this particular class used Web of Science as a citation location to find their references. So I think it's important to compare your results across platforms, and this is because different platforms are structured in different ways, they have different algorithms, and they can help perhaps refine your search terms by using them differently. So, for example, a fellow senior seminar faculty member, Matt Palmer, and I are currently working on a study on eastern box turtles. So if I use the search term box turtle in different platforms, what might I get? So in Google Scholar, if I take a look at the results here, here's a screenshot of the top 4 entries with box turtle as a search term. Now this algorithm is sorted by most relevant, and it seems to be those heavily cited papers are sort of at the top. And there's also quite a lot of results, over 100,000, many of which won't be super helpful. Meanwhile, if I check out Web of Science through Columbia's library's website, I only get 634 responses, but it's possible that these results are going to be more tailored to my need. It might be harder to have found within that large Google Scholar search. Similarly, if I use Clio, I get a diversity of references, and it situates it into both books and articles. And again, these, even with the articles, the top 3 articles are different than the top 4 Web of Science search results or the top 4 Google Scholar searches. So the main point of this is to show that it's best to get a diversity of resources, and it's best to use a diversity of platforms to help you get there. But I do understand that Google Scholar is really easy to use and popular. So I've actually created a short video to help you use it efficiently. So go ahead and check out the video page that's under the resources tab on your course website, on the course website to access that video. You'll notice that in that video, in addition to some tips, I'm on Google Scholar, I mentioned some citation managers. This includes things like Zotero and EndNote. This hyperlink that says options on this particular slide is actually also found on the How to Make the Bibliography page of the course website. It brings you to a page for the Columbia Libraries that explains each of these different platforms and gives you some tutorials and some starting guides to help you out if you wanted to use a citation manager. So in the past, I've asked students if they use citation managers or how they organize their references, and as you can see that most use their own system or no system at all. But if you think in the future classes or in your career, you might be using the literature to help you with your work, it might be worthwhile for you to take this opportunity to learn a citation management platform. It can save you lots of time and energy than doing it manually. Because citation managers not only keep your references and the associated PDFs at times organized in a database, but you also can use it while writing. And it's a function called Cite While You Write, where you can actually insert a citation appropriately, and then it automatically populates your reference section. And if you delete a citation because you deleted a sentence, for example, it will automatically update your reference section, which helps to keep things consistent and accurate. Citation managers also assist you with formatting your references and your citations. So if you're interested in taking the jump into working with a citation manager or want to refresh some of your skills in it, there are some workshops that are available through the university's library. So in the fall 2020, there's a series of Zotero workshops. Zotero is now the preferred citation manager of the Columbia Libraries. But there's also a lot of other resources on that on the library's page that tell you how to use EndNote and other programs as well if you really prefer something else. I want to mention that this hyperlink on this slide, and it's also on the How to Make a Bibliography page of the course website, is going to update based on what semester you are watching this video, and these dates will change accordingly. But there also is a bunch of other resources and workshops that are listed at this website, the library's website, including how to use R, different platforms for GIS, and research databases, and how to do an appropriate literature review. So I highly recommend you check it out to see all of the available options that might assist you in your proposal or thesis writing. So I mentioned that formatting your references is one thing that a citation manager can help you do. And what do I mean by formatting your references? Well, in the past, we have suggested that students use this journal called Geology as a guideline for how to actually format and style your references. And so that is one approach you could use, is to use an existing journal and its guidelines. So for example, on our course website, on both the How to Make a Bibliography page, but then also specifically in the How to Write a Thesis and How to Write a Proposal portions, in the reference portions of those pages on our course website, you'll see that we use this Geology format, which includes information about how to cite your references within the text. For example, the last name of the author, comma, the year. Also giving more information about if there's multiple citations, having a semicolon between the citations, and having the citations in chronological order rather than in alphabetical order. There's also information about how you cite different types of resources in your references section. So the full citation including how to list your authors and capitalization rules, for example. So on the course website, we use the geology style guidelines. We also have a hyperlink that brings you directly to a PDF on the website that is the official style guidelines of that journal, which I highly recommend you check out if you decide to use geology as your format. Make sure that you're being consistent and accurate with your citations, especially if you're not using a reference manager. If you are using a reference manager and did want to use geology as your format, there are ways that you can actually select that journal format within the citation manager, and it automatically translates it into the format that you preferred. You may or may not decide to use the citation manager, and you may want to actually not use the format of geology. I highly suggest that you talk to your mentor and you talk to your advisor and ask them what their preferred method for formatting references is. But I think that it's okay if you talk to your advisor, and if you decide you wanted to go with the style that you're familiar with, like APA or something like that, that'd be fine. But I really highly suggest you stay consistent. You're going to be starting your bibliography basically as soon as you're able. So go ahead, jump right into the process. Remember that in your outline, which is your first product, if you are a proposal student that is going to be due, the instructions for that will be explained in a future session, but it does include 5 references that you need to cite and have the full references at the bottom of your outline. So that's something to keep in mind as you're starting your bibliography search. So if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with your advisor, and I do highly suggest you start clicking around and exploring the page how to make a bibliography on the course website and other associated pages. Thank you.